I am Pragya and I bring to you excerpts from the current issue of Outlook titled Trapped, that looks at two cover stories. One, where poor migrant workers trapped in a tunnel make it alive after 17 traumatic days. The other, for the Palestinians trapped in Gaza, the ceasefire may be short lived before the next round of attacks by Israel. The other cover has illustration of the olive tree, a symbol of Palestinian culture and resilience. The Palestinian poet in exile, Mahmoud Darwish, has always used olive tree in his poetry. Lines from his poem, The Second Olive Tree, reads, "The portrait for the olive tree is neither green nor silver. The olive tree is the color of peace, if peace needed a color." Over 1 million olive trees have been uprooted by the settlers in occupied Palestine since 1967 to build new settlements, according to Haaretz newspaper and other agencies. From the Overlap, a section that looks at news and emerging events from Outlook's special lens. A Brave Vote for Change by Malini Subramaniam, an independent journalist. Despite a boycott call by the Maoists, villagers in Naxal-infested Bastar of Chhattisgarh turned out to vote in large numbers. I reached Gadiras late afternoon on November 6th, a day before the first phase of the elections, cutting through the once forbidden, picturesque Kati Kalyan road from Tirathgarh. Beyond Kati Kalyan, the 60-kilometer long winding forest road gave way to narrow forest path. Old roads dug up by Naxalites, as remarked by a passerby, were visible, making their erstwhile presence in the region. The 2-foot-wide ditches were partially leveled with bamboo for two-wheelers to pass. In some places, parts of the road were padded with stones and mud, all of which still made a telling signal of a no-go passage for larger four-wheel vehicles. 25-odd kilometers further from Gadiras lies Gafti, a village considered notorious for Naxal support. The road disappeared after a 5-kilometer ride leading to Kondre. The rest of the 12-odd kilometers was through a forested stretch until Gufti. At a dilapidated Panchayat Bhavan sat Manju Kawasi, the Sarpanch of the Gufti Gram Panchayat, busy discussing with young village boys the modus operandi for the 420 voters from her village to reach Kondre to cast their votes. The voters from our village are eager to vote, but the Election Commission has shifted the polling booth to Kondre, a good 11 kilometers from here, she says exasperatedly. We have to now arrange for tractors for voters to reach the Kondre polling booth. People from 6 villages, Maroki, Gufti, Gondpalli, Gonderas, Dabba, and Pandupara, had petitioned the election commissioner as early as September 28th, seeking the establishment of polling stations in their villages. However, there was no response, and instead, polling stations were shifted to locations as far as 5 to 20 kilometers away. Late into the evening on November 6th, bikes could be heard moving in the area. Groups of young men were huddled together in heated discussion. We could hear worried conversations over the phone. The now pouring rain was spoiling it further. Villagers from Pordem had to climb down the mountain at least 15 kilometers to reach the polling station in Nanglaguda, close to the Mankapal security camp. Gufti was earlier with the Pordem Gram Panchayat but was separated as a Gram Panchayat much later. It had rained unusually that evening, leaving the villagers worried about the harvested paddy lying bundled in their farms. Could bikes ferry some of the voters through the slushy forested path? Would tractors reach on time to transport the voters, especially the elderly? The young boys were given instructions to send messages to all the houses to reach the Panchayat Bhavan by 7 a.m. the next morning, the election day. They were to be ferried to the polling booth in Kondre. But what continues to worry the Sarpanch was how to take all the 400 voters over 12 kilometers to Kondre. For this and more, read the current issue of Outlook.